Welcome back to the part two of my presentation. So we were just talking before about the alphabet key here, and I just found it, I just thought I'd point out that already we can see the number of different types of leaders that they're coming up with. They've got their natural leaders of men, Alexander the Great, Barack Obama, Julia Gillard, Kevin Rudd, actual political leaders. And then we've also got some other ones there. Schwarzenegger, another political leader. Van Berlo, the captain of the Adelaide Crows. Zeus, the leader of the gods. People like, and as I said before, I particularly liked the dad comment. So I handed out my first questionnaire, and 10 students said that they would be glad to help out with this, and that they didn't mind if I took their answers. So I have 10 people. I've kind of paraphrased a lot of this just for this presentation, and I'm going to be putting the full details up on my blog, which you can have a look at if you would like. So take some time to think about your topic. Now write down what you know about it. The relevant answers really were that leaders are strong, leaders need to be organized, and some people are just naturally good leaders. So we can still see they're still thinking in that way, that leaders are only really born that way. How interested are you in this topic? I was a bit disappointed with this, that 4 voted not much, but at least no one voted not at all. How much do you know about this topic? I pretty much figured that these results would come out like this. 1 or 2 would vote a great deal, 1 or 2 quite a lot, and then 6 voted not much, as you can see. These 2 final questions, though, are the most important questions, I think, and they really gave me a grasp on what these kids need to do. So when you do research, what do you generally find easy? And I think they misunderstood this question at first, because I think they just said, how do you do research? So you can see one of the main answers was ask a teacher. So this was written down probably on 8 of the questions in the same variation. Basically, how do you do research? Well, I ask the teacher. And I really want to get them out of that mode of then always coming to me, and so that they can go find out those facts for themselves. And then what do they find difficult? Well, they actually find using Google difficult. They find they find it difficult to find information in books as well, and they find it really difficult to remember everything. So I think in terms of those things, it looks like my kids have trouble filtering the information that they get from their multiple searches, and then they also have trouble taking effective notes. If, as you can see by that, remember everything, they're obviously not taking the right notes. So what changes did I decide to make to my ILA? Well, not only did I have to extend it due to the circumstances with the choir and the growth and development sessions, but I decided to extend it by another week or 2 anyway. And mainly that was so that I could give some students that explicit instruction on how to search through Google. So I wanted to give them some of the things I learned from this topic, about using quotation marks and not and things like that, just so that they get a better idea and they can narrow their search function a little bit. The other thing I really wanted to do, though, was to include an additional formative task for students to continue to get used to that idea that they have to select their own form of presentation. So I gave them another formative task, and I told them it was formative, it wasn't going to be marked, and I'll be talking about that in a minute. But just that whole idea that they weren't going to be given how to make this project. They had to come up with their own way of presenting their own information. So that's the next thing that I'm going to be talking about. But first of all, I just really wanted to talk about that number 2 there, giving students explicit instruction. This was something that I found really helpful, and I recommend, if you get the chance with your own class, to really give them that solid grounding in how to use Google, because after that my kids were able to find information much faster and much easier than they were in the past. So here are my examples of my formative task. I'll just let them sit there for 5 seconds so you can have a look at it, and then I will talk about those in the next section of this presentation.